Then the black captain rose in his stirrups, and cried aloud in a dreadful voice, speaking in some forgotten tongue words of power and terror to rend both heart and stone. Thrice he cried. Thrice the great ram boomed, and suddenly upon the last stroke the gate of Gondor broke. As if stricken by some blasting spell, it burst asunder. There was a flash of searing lightning, and the doors tumbled in riven fragments to the ground. In rode the Lord of the Nazgûl. Hey everyone, Yoyston here, and I hope you all are doing well, wherever you are in Middle-earth. Today I wanted to look at an interesting and ambiguous question concerning one of our favorite Tolkienian villains. Why was the Witch King so powerful? And to further explore, I want to understand why he was so powerful even compared to the other Nazgûl. Related articles and videos to further expand on this topic may be found in the description and cards. My friends, thank you all so much for joining me today. Let's begin our tale. When Sauron and Celebrimbor forged the 9 rings for men in the Second Age, Sauron was strategic about which warriors, kings, and sorcerers among men he swayed to his side. We know that 3 of the 9 Nazgûl were Númenóreans, and since Númenóreans were typically stronger and more powerful than the men of Middle-earth, we must therefore assume that the captain of the 9, the Witch King, was a Númenórean. What's more, it is said that some of the Nazgûl were sorcerers, and Gandalf, whilst speaking to Radagast before leaving for Isengard in the Fellowship of the Ring, said that the chieftain of the 9 was a great king and sorcerer of old, who wielded a deadly fear. Thus, we must also say that the Witch King was a Númenórean sorcerer of old in the Second Age, when he was given his Ring of Power by Sauron, which surely augmented his abilities. With all of this established, we can see why the Witch King wielded great power, even if the definition of sorcerer is perhaps a bit ambiguous within Tolkien's works. To be honest, the whole concept of magic in Arda is a bit of a difficult topic to understand, which I delve into more in an older video, but if we can assume that the Witch King already had superhuman abilities or skills before becoming a ringwraith, especially concerning the fact he was likely a Númenórean, it would also make sense that such skills were augmented after joining Sauron, and perhaps the Witch King was also able to call and draw upon Sauron's power as well. Now, what is a bit more difficult for me to understand is why the Witch King was far more powerful than the other Nazgûl, which is seen time and again throughout the Third Age, but in lesser and in greater ways. It is said in the Unfinished Tales that the Nazgûl, except for the Witch King, were apt to stray while alone in daylight, and that the 9, except for the Witch King once again, feared water. These mundane differences in focus and fear still stand out as making the Witch King superior to the other 8 Nazgûl. But other greater examples are out there as well, such as the Witch King growing to power and earning his name in the realm of Angmar, where the Witch King was able to grow vast armies, rally the hillmen of Rhudaur, and even send spirits into the Barrow Downs to create Barrow Wights, before going on to take Minas Ithil with the other Nazgûl and make it Minas Morgul, a place of great and evil dark sorcery. Of course, it is also said of the Witch King by Glorfindel that he would not fall by the hand of man, and while that is subject to interpretation, it still shows an immense power over fate and doom that the Witch King had. And as this video begins with the quote, the Witch King also puts incantations upon Grond, allowing for the battering ram to smash open the gate of Minas Tirith. After doing that, the Witch King, who we must believe was once simply a mortal man, could actually oppose Gandalf the White at the gate directly, which would be an incredible feat for anyone who once called themselves a man. And again, we don't see the other Nazgûl being able to achieve anything like this. These are all things that one might expect from a wizard perhaps, but from a sorcerer among men, even Númenóreans, turned to Sauron's cause is quite strange, especially considering the fact that no other Nazgûl were able to even get close to accomplishing such feats. Perhaps the other Nazgûl had skills that the Witch King didn't, and we just never saw them, but I even find that doubtful. We didn't see other powers wielded by the Nazgûl. Enumerated within the text, they likely didn't have them. Now, let's explore some potential theories and ideas about this concerning the Witch King, although I must say I'm afraid that I may ask more questions than provide answers in this video. First, like I said before, magic in Tolkien's works is very cryptic and ambiguous, which is actually something I do quite enjoy. It leaves us with some questions, like the ones we are trying to answer here today. But usually the magic that I can more or less understand is that which is perhaps more spiritual or religious in nature. Take a look at Gandalf or Sauron, for instance. They began as Ainur and became Maiar, the servants of the Valar who were yet of the same race. Their magic seems to be far more spiritual and religious in a sense, as they have closer connections to Eru or God, and the gods or Valar of Middle-earth. So, coming back to the Witch King, perhaps some of his dark magic, or Morgul sorcery as it is known, stems from something more spiritual in nature. Knowing that he was both a Númenórean and a sorcerer may aid us here, as perhaps those human sacrifices made to Melkor in Númenor in the late Second Age had something to do with the Witch King, if he was yet in Númenor and he was able to draw dark power from this, or from Melkor himself. Or perhaps the Witch King indeed drew upon Sauron's spiritual and dark magic in ways that other Nazgûl were unable to, either by their lack of power or by Sauron's choice to make the Witch King his champion. Indeed, if we are looking at Sauron and his augmentation of the Witch King and the Witch King alone, perhaps the Captain of the Nine's Ring had special qualities and was even the most powerful of the 16 rings forged by Sauron and Celebrimbor, 9 for men and 7 for dwarves. This idea of drawing power from Sauron may also be examined in the context of deathlessness especially, as Sauron was once called the Necromancer of Dol Guldur, and we know that while he was in Dol Guldur, his greatest servant the Witch King made war with Arnor far away on the other side of the mountains. And during this time, the Witch King sent fell spirits to inhabit the old bodies of Barrow-wights in Cardolin's Barrow Downs. This feels like a very necromantic act to me, for although these spirits Angmar commanded were not necessarily the spirits of men who should have passed beyond Arda by the will of Ilúvatar, they were still evil spirits nonetheless, and it would not be surprising to learn that the Witch King was only able to command them through the powers or teachings of Sauron. What's more, Sauron prevented the Ringwraiths themselves from partaking in the gift of men and passing from this world, as their rings of power held them here until the destruction of the One Ring. And we see with the Morgul blade that stabbed Frodo and almost turned him into an undying wraith as well, that this Morgul magic also had power over the fate of death, if even for a temporary time, just as it was with the Nazgûl. But again, the idea of Morgul sorcery, while helmed by the Witch King at the end of the Third Age, most likely was influenced by Sauron in some way. And then if we turn our attention to the incantations of a forgotten language that the Witch King used on Grond, perhaps that forgotten language had power, perhaps that was also something that Sauron taught him, or these spells and incantations were a part of the Witch King's backstory as a sorcerer. It's really unclear, but it's interesting that he had these powers, all of these powers, while the other Nazgûl did not. Ultimately, these are the ideas and theories I have regarding why the Witch King was so powerful, even amongst the other Nazgûl, for he must have been the sole champion of Sauron in many ways, one who alone could draw upon greater power from the Dark Lord, either from innate power of who the Witch King was when he received his ring, or by the designs of Sauron, or both. I really couldn't see many other theories being realistic, such as any that connect him to the powers or teachings of wizards, such as the Blue Wizards in the Second Age perhaps, or anything else. It seems that, even as I make this video, many of the Witch King's powers had to have come from Sauron, or from some dark, similar realm of sorcery. It's still an ambiguous topic, shrouded in mystery, one of many in Tolkien's works, but I hope this video and commentary provided some interesting thoughts and reflections concerning the Witch King's considerable power, even amongst the Nazgûl. But let me know what you all think. Why was the Witch King so powerful? Let me know in the comments below. And so, we come to the end of our tale. From the power of the Witch King, we see that sometimes those who wish for evil upon others will use whatever's at their disposal to achieve such ends. And all we can do is stand against them unflinchingly. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this Middle-earth Explained video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button and share this with a friend. What are your thoughts, questions, additions, and corrections about the powers of the Witch King? Let me know in the comments below. Perhaps there is something I haven't considered or even missed. The Witch King is such an intriguing villain, and I do think his unknowable nature is part of such intrigue. Thanks to our Valar tier patrons, Adrian De la Torre, Chris Ortner, Cal Wetzel, Peter Sheppard, Jonathan Putnam, Mark Kralick, Blair Scouten, Merten, John Hume, Sam McBee, Matt Sibbach, Elizabeth Calvert, Maz Gibs, Ben Gardner, Condar, Rhys Jenkins, Adam Petralik, Kuzan, Brandon Glidden, Molly Sullivan, and Daniel Burns. Thank you so much, and thanks to all of our patrons and YouTube members. Really means a lot. Please subscribe and hit that bell button to join the Men of the West and all of the Free Peoples today. And I'll see you all again next week with a video on the love story of Sam Gamgee and Rosie Cotton for Valentine's Day. You all are the best, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me on this adventure. Until the next one.